Hi, I'm Madison Johnson, and today I want to go over in depth with you about our rent to own program. Now, you're going to see me kind of glancing over here. I'm sorry, that's where my laptop is positioned. And so this is where I'm going to be reading a lot of what you're seeing on the screen. So just bear with me. I promise me and you will get through this together. I am going to go over just kind of everything that we typically get questions for. Are seeing this video either on our website or you're seeing it on the e-form, and I just want to make sure that whoever you've talked to, that you are educated on it and know fully what you're getting yourself kind of into, because it can get a little complicated. But I assure you by the end of this, you'll have most of your questions answered and that you'll be able to move forward with no more issues. So first, let's start with what is the rent-to-own program. So the rent-to-own is exactly kind of what it sounds like. It is a rent with an option to purchase. So this would appeal to anyone who has credit issues, someone from out of state, someone who wants to transition from renter to homeowner. This is a great program. We've used it for a really long time. It really helps anyone who are in those categories to really make the next step into homeownership. So depending on the person and what you're kind of going through, you can expect a 1 to 2 year lease. Again, that kind of just differs. Please keep in mind during your lease or during this process that you do not have to purchase this home by the end of that lease. Now, you will have to stick out the lease until you are done, but if you decide, hey, I don't like the house or this is just not working for me, again, you do not have to re-sign the lease. You can just move on. If you do decide, hey, like in 2 months, you have gotten your credit to where it needs to be, and you've been sitting in the lease, you can go ahead at any time during that lease and purchase that home. So there's no restrictions on you purchasing it. However, if you are looking to get out of it, you do have to sit there for the remainder of the 12 months. We get asked a lot, and you probably have asked this before you even got to this website or to the e-form, is what homes are available? And now it's really hard to convey that over a text or an email because it kind of sounds like, and I get this all the time, that sounds like a scam. It really isn't. Our investors do not hold inventory. It's not lucrative for them. It doesn't make sense for them to have a home that's empty, right? I think we can all kind of agree that's not very lucrative. So it doesn't make sense for them to hold any homes that are not being currently lived in. So what they actually do, and statistically they know this because they've bought in a lot of these homes and they've done this for quite a bit of time, they know that the best way to get you to purchase the home after a lease or during that process is for you to actually like the home you live in. And how do you like the home you live in is if you get to pick it out. So you get exactly what you want, exactly what you're looking for. You can be as picky or as not picky as you want to be because they're letting you go out and pick the home you want out there in the market that are homes that are currently for sale. Our investors are super competitive. They're competitive in all markets. They understand your market. They know what the house is worth. They have been making offers over the list price and doing everything they can if you're wanting to be in that home to get you that home. The other thing to keep in mind too is that they're buying these houses with cash. And I think we all agree that cash is king, especially in this market. If you have cash, you're probably going to win in a bidding war. And that's exactly what they do. They come fully with cash. That means that they can close in 20 days instead of if you go and get a loan with a bank that typically takes 30 or sometimes even 40 days. So it's a little bit more appealing to a seller to get with someone who has cash. Now, something to keep in mind, they're not going to take just any old house. They're not going to be a flipper. They're not going to go buy a house that needs to be flipped. They're looking for move-in ready homes. They're not equipped to do flips, and they're just not going to do them. So this house has to be move-in ready. You will be required to put a deposit down for this program, just like you would do with any rental program or even just renting or leasing a home in general. They are responsible for the house until it's purchased. So if you make any major damages or do anything to the house, of course, they want to be compensated if they have to take over that when you leave. So of course, there is going to be a deposit that is going to be needed to be made. Typically, what you'll see is that's going to be first and last month's rent, just like you would kind of see with any rental property. The investors that we work with do allow you to have pets in the home. All of them that we work with do allow you to have up to 3, but their guidelines do differ. So please, when you are talking to your agent, make sure you ask what those guidelines are. One of them I know does have breed restrictions, and some of them, I think one of them also has weight restrictions. It's like a combined weight restriction. So you can have, let's say, 3 you can have like 3 beagles, but you can't have 3 German shepherds because they weigh too much and they're over that weight limit. So please make sure that when you're talking to an agent or you're talking to anyone about this program, that you make sure they clarify what the restrictions are for pets, because that is something that you're going to need to know depending on which investor you go with. Now, it is a $300 deposit if you do have pets across the board. Doesn't matter which one you go with, there will be a $300 pet deposit. One of them I do know also requires a $30 pet fee every single month. So again, something you might want to ask your agent depending on which one you go with. Qualifications. Hopefully, if you've gotten to see this video, you've already passed the qualifications. You've already asked someone what those are. But just in case that slipped you, or you were just so excited it just skipped over your mind, I want to just make sure we cover this. Now, this will pretty much be the same across the board. I think other than 2 or 3 states might be different. It might be California and 2 other places I'm not too sure of, so make sure that you ask. But the qualifications are as followed. So basically, our investors are looking for income over $30,000 a year of yearly income, credit over 550, no evictions, no car repossessions, and no charge-offs within the last year. If one of these does disqualify you, don't sell yourself out just yet. We work closely with these investors, and in some situations, there will be ways to work around it. So just don't sell yourself out. I know this seems like a lot. There's a lot on this page, even for me to go over, which is why I'm not going to. But if you want to pause it and go over everything, please do. It's always to your benefit to make sure that you know exactly what you're getting yourself in. If you pause to read the last slide, you'll definitely see that we do a soft pull. That is the first step. Like I said before, we're working with more than one investor, so we want to make sure that you're with the right one. We also do it because it's more often than not, most people actually qualify to purchase. I know that sounds crazy, but a lot of people may just have like 1 or 2 things that might just disqualify you from a loan. But if we have you pay those down, like I get a lot of people who, like, crazy enough, have a pretty low score. They're probably even below that 550 mark to even qualify for this program. When we go through their credit, we realize we can see through that soft pull that you actually have just 1 or 2 things that are actually holding you down from actually getting you loan qualified, which is a huge deal, which is why we always do a soft pull. It's exactly like Credit Karma, so it doesn't affect your credit at all. What we're allowed to see, though, is a little bit more. Like if you own Credit Karma and you want to see more about your credit, you typically have to pay. There's like a paywall that you'd have to pay in order to see exactly what's affecting your credit. Since we pay for this soft pull, we do get to see that. And since we're hopefully professionals at this, we know exactly what's holding your credit down. We can typically within 90 days get you qualified. And I mean that. Like most people that we talk to typically will be able to purchase a home within 90 days. I know that sometimes that's not enough, that's too much time for you, and thus why the rent to own might be a better option, because hey, like my lease is about to be done in a month. I really don't have 90 days. Well, that's fine. Let's just go and do the rent to own. And then in 3 months when you're credit qualified, let's just go ahead and just purchase the house. But what we see a ton of the times is just a few little things are just holding down your credit. And in like a short while, you could probably go ahead and just purchase outright. So just keep that in mind. That's why we always say to call us, because I know some of the qualifications that might not allow you to qualify for the RTO program may not be a restriction if you're purchasing. Just because you have an eviction doesn't mean that you can't purchase a home, but you qualify with everything. It's just, hey, I had eviction on my record. Loan officers don't really care about that. Banks don't really care about that. They just want to make sure that you income qualify, blah, 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 blah. They don't really care that you had an eviction last year or 2 years ago or whatever. Depending on where you're watching this, you could be watching this on the actual e-form itself, or you could be watching it on our website, The e-form will be tagged somewhere, or it hopefully will have been sent to you. Please fill that out. We will not move forward with you unless the e-form has been filled out. It's crucial for us. It will put you in the queue for one of our agents or our lenders or one of our credit specialists. It's only about 10 questions, nothing too scary. There isn't going to be a question about your social security number. We aren't going to ask for that. We're always ready to help anyone. So if you think that you might have someone that might be interested in something like that, please feel free to send them the website or the e-form. We'd love to help them. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out at any time. There will be a number located somewhere, either if you're on the website, it'll probably be below this. There'll be a way to reach out to it. If you're on the e-form, at the very bottom of the e-form, it'll ask for comments. If you have questions, that's where you will do them. Or you can always go back to whoever you were talking to initially, and you can always ask them more additional details, and they'll be happy to get with you. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day, and hopefully this video was helpful.